If there are no other questions for the attorney, then I would love to entertain a motion to adopt the resolution.
Justice Brown.
Oh.
Yes.
So, may I have a second on that motion? Second. Okay. Now that we have the motion and the second, I would like to open it up for discussion about the resolution. Is there a need for discussion?
I have comments, I feel like as a patron, not just as a board member. Anyway, so again, like I said, I've been reading laws and code that I never anticipated reading this week. The childhood dream of being a drag attorney got fulfilled, and I'm glad I didn't pursue that. My concerns, first being we don't even have the draft complaint, as you stated. We have the memo that we haven't even had for 48 hours. So my first concern would be, has every board member read it in totality, had time to consider and ponder the actions of this board and how that impacts our patrons, specifically our patrons who are voters and who duly elected our government officials who, as was stated with the public comments, clear majority voted for this Act 372. While I don't think it's perfect, I think it would be prudent of the board members to consider what the vote means. Doesn't mean that you're for Act 372, but I think it means that we are for child safety and child protection of our patrons. We are for supporting the parents who send a large amount of students, not just to my local branch, but to several branches after school for childcare. As someone who was raised by a single mother, that's an important part of our community. Those parents are not able, especially the single parents, to monitor everything that their children are made, displayed, to use the legal term, displayed, advertised, made available to them. So I think we should think through this. I'm not for book banning. As the granddaughter of Cuban political refugees, I am not for book banning. I'm very proud of the COWS collection. As a homeschool mom, I want it to be robust. I want it to have a collection that, as my children grow, they can utilize and learn about several different topics, some that I will agree with and some that I will not. Things that will challenge their thinking. And I think this is a time for us as board members to challenge our own thinking. To not just give in to political discourse, but to think through the ramifications. If you're against Act 372, it was made clear in our memo, there are multiple patrons, multiple groups, co-plaintiffs, who are already on board for this. So it can still be challenged, but we can protect our patrons' dollars and use those to fund other programs, use the energy and effort of leadership and staff to fundraise for the much-needed renovation here at Maine, as opposed to funding a legal case. And then, on just an additional note, it feels like this is almost a formality to get a board vote, considering that the footer across the entire COWS website, from someone who comes from corporate marketing, for almost the entire month, has been titled Fight Act 372 and has been a link fundraising for this case that we haven't even approved. That's concerning. And I think that's something that as board members we need to think through. I'm new to this. I'm only 5 months in. I knew it could get heated in my 3 years, but it's a little sooner than I anticipated. So I feel like we need to have conversation, not just from the public, which I think is great, but we all chose or solicited in some reason to be sitting at this table, and to think through that before we just vote for pressure or politics.